भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Now, keeping your eyes closed, take a deep breath and slowly breathe out. Let's bring our hands down to our knees and we can slowly open our eyes. So the prayer that we just recited is called Shanti Path. It comes from an ancient Upanishad which was written in the 6th century, probably BC, called the Taittiriya Upanishad. The prayer says that together let us be protected and be nourished, because now with vigor we shall perform, and let our learning be bright. So let there never be any animosity or hostility amongst us, between us, and Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, and peace. So with this prayer, we'll begin with our session today. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you for taking the time this morning to join in for the Yoga Day celebration. I would like to thank DLRC for providing this opportunity today, for providing this platform to share our thoughts with each other. So thank you, DLRC, for the same. Before we move on to the ABCs of yoga, I would like to do a brief introduction of my own self and my own history with yoga. So I'll come back here so I can see everybody. Yeah. So I'm Dr. Mani Salgia, and my history with yoga is probably similar to most of you. Coming from an Indian background, we're all introduced to yoga as a child, and so was I, by my uncle, by my chachaji, who was in our grandparents' home, used to make us, all the children, line up and do yoga, do all our poses. So I thank him for that. And as a child, like all children, I was very flexible. And then as a teenager, of course, you start to question everything that you see around you. And so I started to question and slowly moved away from yoga. Now, I graduated as a homeopathic physician. So I studied, I did my bachelor's in homeopathic medicine and surgery, and moved on to the US, where I also studied diagnostic medical sonography. I started working in hospitals, and I also started teaching at the medical school in New Jersey. It was actually in New York and New Jersey that I was introduced or reintroduced to yoga. In the US, it was just amazing to see that the form of yoga as Iyengar yoga and Kundalini yoga, and there was yoga all around, all kinds of yoga, something that I had never seen or experienced in India. I was drawn to it and I started practicing, and I really started enjoying it. I also started applying the practices towards my patients. So if I were to prescribe a homeopathic medicine to somebody, and I also asked them to do pranayam, I saw that my medicines worked better, the effects lasted longer, people felt better. So with that, I got more and more curious about yoga. So when my husband and I, with our children, moved back to India, one of my goals was to go back to the roots and study this ancient knowledge in a scientific manner, really understand where it's coming from and how I can apply it. So I spent a few months at Kaivalyadham Ashram, where I studied yoga, where I studied the scientific research done in yoga, and now I apply it to my patients at my clinic here in Pune. So that's a little bit of my history with yoga. I would now like to begin with the ABCs of yoga. And before we do that, I would like to ask if any one of you has heard, since we're talking ABCs of yoga, if any one of you has heard about the meaning of the word yoga. Does anybody know? You can in your chat box type or actually physically raise your hand, and you can. Has anybody heard what the word yoga means? Feel free to turn your videos on and raise your hands. Yes, Maya replied saying it means union. That's absolutely right, Maya. So the word comes from a Sanskrit word called yuj. And here I'm going to start sharing my screen here with you. So here we go. Okay. So the word means yuj, which means union or to join. The literal word is to yoke. And yoking is the process of bringing these bulls together to tie it up in a yoke. So that's the very technical term. And now when we talk about join together, obviously the question comes as to what we are joining together, right? So we could use really big words like joining our universal consciousness with our individual consciousness. But here we are talking about ABCs of yoga. So we are trying to simplify everything down. So you could say that yoga is bringing together your body, mind, and soul. It could be your union with God. But for me personally, presently, being a householder, I am not seeking nirvana at this present moment. So for me, joining together would mean that whatever I'm doing, it could be I'm cooking my food, or I'm seeing my patient, or I am helping my children with their homework. Whatever I'm doing, if I am able to do that with my body, mind, and soul, with me coming together as a whole, as harmonious, for me, that is my yoga. So that is my understanding of what yoga means. Now, what is yoga? So, of course, we know that it is an ancient tradition, wisdom of India. It is, in my opinion, the greatest inheritance that we have from our ancestors. It is so valuable, and it grows as we give, right? So it is the science of right living. It gives us specific techniques which include asanas, pranayams, bandha, shatkarmas, mudras, all of those practices that help us achieve physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So only if all of these come together can we have yoga, or can we have harmony. Now, how old is yoga? Once again, can anybody, speak up and say if you have any guesses? How old is yoga? You can unmute yourself and. 500 years, 1,000 years. Okay, I'll go ahead. So, mythologically, it is believed that Shiva was the first teacher of yoga and Parvati was the first student. So the story goes like this, that Shiva and Parvati are sitting together, and Parvati पूछती हैं शिव से कि इस दुनिया में इतना दुख है, there is so much suffering in this world, and how is it that you are able to be so blissful? And so Shiva replies, I am blissful because I am a yogi, I practice yoga. And then Parvati asks him to share his knowledge of yoga, and that's why mythologically Shiva is considered the first teacher of yoga. Now coming to actual history that can be proven, that can be traced, we know that in the Indus Valley civilization, which some say is at least 5,500 years ago, although carbon dating is showing, some scientists are claiming that it is probably 8,000 years old. The Indus Valley civilization seals, like this one up on the screen, it shows a person sitting in
Mani, we couldn't just hear you. Just check your mic.
practicing right now, any kind of pranayam that you're doing, then you are following this text, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, because this is the first time that all the asanas, there are 18 asanas given in this text. There are multiple pranayams given in this text. But before this, neither Patanjali nor anybody else has written down these asanas or described them in any detail. Afterwards, of course, came many great yogis like Swami Vivekananda. And in 1893, he gave his speech in Chicago introducing the world to yoga. In 1924, at Kaivalyadham Ashram, the first yoga research journal is published called Yoga Mimamsa, and it is still published today. So this is a brief history of yoga. It's more than 6,000 years of yoga condensed in one page. Another special mention would be Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, who was the teacher of D.K.S. Iyengarji, who's the teacher of Patabi Joyce, was the teacher of Indira Devi. All the people who spread or formed their own big traditions of yoga and then spread yoga to all around the world were students of Tirumalai Krishnamacharya. His son still has a yoga institute in Mysore. Now we come to how yoga transforms our body, and we won't go into the details of the benefits of yoga because we all know, we hear it all the time that do yoga, it's going to relax you, do yoga, it's going to help your flexibility or help your back or help your eyes. Now here, being a physician, my main aim is to make sure that whatever I'm teaching, it is backed not only by years of tradition, but is also backed by science and has been proven. So if I say something, I know that I mean it. So here, I would like to take you to one research study, which is about aging. So this is an interesting page, pictures, and the important thing is that we have a choice. Now, to understand aging, would like you to understand the very basic cellular description of aging. So for that, we have to understand a concept or a scientific term called the telomeres. So what these telomeres are ends of our DNA. So at the cellular level, where we have our chromosomes, in the chromosomes are our DNA. At the ends of these DNA are telomeres. Now why these telomeres are important are because every time the cell divides, these telomeres get shorter and shorter. So if you have nice long telomeres, which are the ends of this DNA, that means your cell is young. But if you have very short telomeres, that means that cell has aged. So it is similar to the ends of our shoelaces. So those telomeres are like those little plastic um, containments of our shoelaces, and once they start to get more and more fragile, the shoelaces age, and so do our cells. So the important thing is that the telomeres, although they get shorter and shorter with age, there is a possibility, or it is surely possible, to make our short telomeres grow long again. That means we can reverse aging, and that happens with the help of an enzyme called the telomerase, which helps our telomeres go back long again. Now, where does yoga fit into this picture of the telomeres and telomerase? So this was a study that was done in about 2007. Dr. Dean Ornish is a Harvard trained physician. He led this study, and the group that he studied did yoga for 6 days a week for 3 months. Now, of course, they were able to document that there was a decline in cholesterol, in blood pressure, and in emotional anxiety, distress in these people. But the most interesting finding was that their telomerase, which helps them reverse aging, went up 30% in just 3 months of doing yoga. These were people who had never done yoga before. So this was one interesting research study that I wanted to share. Then another interesting study is on anxiety or stress and yoga. So this stress is related to a neurotransmitter called GABA. Once again, a scientific term here, gamma-aminobutyric acid. You can just remember GABA for short. Now, GABA is a calming neurotransmitter. So the less GABA we have, the more stressed we are. The more GABA we have, more calm we are. In fact, some of you may have even used it. It's a frequently prescribed medicine for pain, for depression. GABA is used actually as a medicine as well. This research study, which was published in 2007, looked at people who did 1 hour of yoga for 3 days a week for 3 months. They showed improvements in their mood, in their just feeling of well-being, and they had reduced anxiety levels. But the interesting thing was that right after the yoga class, right after 1 hour of doing yoga, when their blood samples were taken, they showed 27% increase in their GABA levels. Now, interestingly, people who were practicing for like 10 years or so, had been practicing yoga for a long time, they showed like 47% increase in GABA levels. In fact, one of the persons who had been practicing for 10 years, he showed an 80% rise in the levels of GABA. So, of course, we know that these practices do work. They change the chemistry in our body. They change the physiology in our body. They change our aging. So now we come to how we can use these practices. So some of you, in fact, many of you may be doing yoga regularly, maybe using some practices. I sort of jotted down practices that will not take more than 1 minute done individually, so that we can make yoga part of our day-to-day life. So it's not just about one day getting up and doing 100 Surya Namaskars. It's about incorporating yoga in our day-to-day life. So simple things like one Surya Namaskar will take you 1 minute. If you can wake up in the morning and do just one Surya Namaskar, that means once on the right side, once on the left side, we are going to do a complete flexion and extension of all the major joints of our body. That itself will give us a nice warm up and will keep our joints really fit. So let's start our day with Surya Namaskar. Then comes our yogic diet, which just takes 1 minute to remind ourselves of what to do when we are eating. And the yogic diet is simply mitahar, and mita, mit meaning measured diet, which just states that when you eat, just become aware that you are eating 50% is your actual food consumption, 25% are your fluids, and then leave 25% empty for air. So we of course now know about gut bacteria and things like that, but this is written in texts thousands of years ago that leave 25% for air. So as we eat, the gut bacteria are going to digest our food and produce gas. So we need to leave space for that. So 25% should be left empty. So awareness here is key and nothing else. It's okay if whatever you're eating, if you are able to maintain this, then whatever you're eating, you will be able to digest it properly. So that's your yogic diet. Simple things like Parvatasana, all of these I will just demonstrate on the mat also. While we're sitting in our positions on our desks, Parvatasana will take exactly 1 minute to do or lesser in the beginning. A great practice to strengthen our arms, our shoulders, prevent cervical spondylosis, prevent any lower back issues. Parvatasana is an excellent practice. We will do it on the mat also. Marjarasana, of the chair, sitting in your chair, you can do Marjariasana, Bithilasana, just to relax your back. People are working so much these days using their screens that back and eye issues are of course bound to increase, and yoga can play a great role here. And eye yoga, so for people of all ages, small children who are using their screens so much, simple practices, each practice will take a minute. If you have a minute, 2 minutes between meetings, if you can just shift your focus, look outside and just stare outside for a minute and then come back to your screen, that changes the focal length that your eyes have to deal with for hours together, and it gives them a little relaxation. So we will be practicing these as well. So I will turn my screen share off here and come back to Zoom so that we can now get started actually on our mats. Okay, so first thing I would like to do is we'll all get up on our mats and do Surya Namaskar. So go grab your mats. Before we do the Surya Namaskar, I will demonstrate it once so that the common mistakes that are made in Surya Namaskar are not made. So you don't need to do hundreds of Surya Namaskar. Even one, if you're doing, you will feel the effect in every part of your body. Okay, so we'll start with that. For those who want, go grab your mats. For people who have any knee problems, for people who have back problems, avoid Surya Namaskar. Surya Namaskar is a very new practice in yoga. All the asanas are very old, they're traditional asanas, but the idea of joining these together as a choreography is fairly new, only about 100 years or so, and more popularized in the West. We don't have to do Surya Namaskar to do yoga. We can do all other asanas. For seniors, I would recommend do not do Surya Namaskar. You will injure your knees or your back. For seniors, it's probably better to do Sukshma Vyayam, simple asanas, some things like this, sitting on your mat, doing simple joint rotations, like we would do in Surya Namaskar, we would use our joints, same way sitting position, doing these simple poses, rotations, one by one, using all the joints. These are enough for seniors. You do not have to do Surya Namaskar. If we have the time for seniors, later on, maybe after 20 minutes, we will all do the Sukshma Vyayam together. But first, just so we can get all the young people involved, I know some kids have also joined in, I would like to just show them Surya Namaskar. Quickly, let me run through, make sure everybody has their mats. Put on your videos, leave yourselves on mute, so that when you do your Surya Namaskar, I can watch and make sure that it's being done right. Okay, so the first correction for Surya Namaskar, I would say, comes in Namaskar Asana. So this one, I'm going to show you by standing up also and sitting down also, so you can see in both ways. Now, the first pose, of course, is Namaskar Asana, right? You're standing up like this, and you're in Namaskar Asana. Now, the biggest mistake that happens in Namaskar Asana is that people think it's useless. That what's the use of doing this? I can straight away start with this. Now, what's the point of doing this? So, just to always remember that Namaskar Asana, the first pose that we do, is the most important, because this is where you breathe in and you breathe out. There's a complete circle of inhalation and exhalation that happens in this pose. So do not skip it. I see a lot of people, they start straight away raising their arms and doing it. No, stop, take a breath in, breathe out, and then start with your next asana. The second is, and I'm going to rotate my screen for this so you can see my legs as well as my arms. So when you start with this, your next pose is Hasta Uttanasana. Now, you need to bend backwards here. A common mistake that happens is that people bend from their knees and try and go back. Or like this, once you want to go back so much that you start bending your knees back. So avoid that. You will have developed pain in your knees if you do that. At no point should your knees go in front of your toes. That's a rule that's followed in all exercises, including yoga. If you do that, you will damage your knees. So no going like this. Keep your knees straight when you're going back. So this is your number 2 position. Number 3 position, a common mistake again, is to bend like this, arching your back. So arching of the back should not happen in this position. When you're going forward, make sure you're stretching yourself forward, making your spine straight, and then coming down. It is not about touching your toes at all. So when you're going forward, try that you stretch up as much as you can. You should feel it first in your legs, in your thigh muscles. That's where you're stretching. So first try and make like a 90 degrees here. Only then come down. Then wherever you reach, you don't have to touch your toes. Wherever you reach is fine. Then comes our next pose. And for this, I'm going to turn the camera again, so you're able to see my legs. Now, number 4 position is like this. You bend your knees slightly, bring your hands by your side, and you take your right knee back to the floor. When you are doing this, again, a common mistake is going like this, which if you're doing one Surya Namaskar and you're a child, is probably okay. You're not going to cause much damage. But if you're doing a lot of Surya Namaskars, this will hurt your knees and you will start developing pain in your knees. So the solution to that is to keep your ankle and your knee in a straight line like this and not let your knee go forward. Instead, focus on taking this leg back, the one that's behind, Focus on taking that as back as you can so that you are able to open up the whole pelvic joint like this. And now you push your back forward. So now you will still have a lot of stretch without damaging your knee. So this is your Ashwachalanasana or Anjaneyasana. That's your asana. You open up your chest. For the next pose, you bring your hands down. This is the plank pose or the Kumbhakasana or the Chaturanga Dandasana. Here, a common mistake is either people go like this or people go like this. So either far too down or far too up. Now here, the idea is to pull your tummy in and hold your back, your hips, your legs, your head in a straight line. You should not be looking down here or looking up. Everything happens in a straight line here in this pose. Now, next pose. Knees down, chest down. Here, make sure your tummy is up and your hips are up. Your tummy is not down. Your tummy is up in the air. This is your next asana, Ashtanga Namanasana. For the next pose, which is Bhujangasana, this is the most commonly done mistake. In Bhujangasana, everybody is like this, with elbows straight, legs far apart, and shoulders up. That is wrong, completely wrong Bhujangasana, because it will hurt your shoulders. It will hurt. So, for that, Bhujangasana is done with legs together, elbows close to the body, raising yourself only till your navel. Only till here. You raise yourself in Bhujangasana. Why? It's say the whole, the Sanskrit shlok says Nabhi Paryanta, which means only till the navel. Now there are further asanas. There is Sarpasana, which happens like this. This is Sarpasana, but this is not Bhujangasana. In Surya Namaskar, there is Bhujangasana, which is like this. So stay with Bhujangasana. Next asana, with your feet down, head down to the floor as much as you can. Once again, no forcing anywhere at any time. Forehead down and feet, try and walk forward to bring your feet flat on the floor. This is Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now, the leg that you took back, the same leg has to come forward. Again, like this. In the beginning, your leg may only come till here. It's okay. Walk your leg forward like this and bring it in between the hands and follow the same thing. Next, bring the other leg forward. Then, of course, arms up and palms down. So these are most common mistakes made. Now, I would like to watch as you all get started. I'm going to give counts like 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead. Everybody up on the mat. You start at the front end of your mat. 1, Namaskarasana. 2, arms up, Hasta Uttanasana. Arch yourself backwards, keep your knees straight. 3, bending forward. Trying to keep your back straight and then come forward as much as you can. Hands down. Bend your knees slightly. Bring both the hands by either side of your feet. Take your right foot back, right knee on the floor, chest forward, push yourself forward. Very nice, Zubin. Very nice, Cavalier. Wonderful job, Kea. Take your front knee, straighten it. Hold this pose. I want to make sure nobody's knee is getting damaged here. Wonderful. Take the back leg behind as much as you can. Keep the front knee in a straight line. Wonderful. Take the other leg back now. Come into a plank pose. Both legs back. Make sure you're in a straight line. Very nice, Manisha. Look straight ahead. Knees down. Good job, Manisha. Very nice. Knees down. Chest down. Ashtanga Namanasana. Elbows together. Now go for Bhujangasana, lifting up only till your navel. Elbows close together. Don't hunch your shoulders up, shoulders down, elbows close together. Now lift up the hips, bring your head down, hips up, feet down on the floor. Walk your feet forward to make sure that your feet are coming flat on the floor. Now bring your right foot forward. Try and bring it between the two hands. Now bring the other leg forward. Now arms raised up. Arch backwards. And then palms together. Here, take a breath in and breathe out. And now let's do the other side. Once again, palms together. Breathe in, breathe out. Number 2 position, arms up. Inhale. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, left foot back. Hold your breath, knees down, chest down. Inhale. Next. Next, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Next, left foot forward. Right foot forward. Arms up. Inhaling, arms up. And exhaling, palms down. Now we can all sit down. Just a note about breathing and Surya Namaskar. Alternately breathing in and breathing out is the rule that's followed in Surya Namaskar, because that's simply something that works with the physiology. As you are taking your arms up, you're stretching your chest and opening up. It's easier to inhale. As you're bending forward, it's easier to exhale. But you must always follow the rule of listening to your body first. So if there's any time anything is feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling breathless, please stop and just do as much as is feeling good for you. Okay, anybody have any questions about Surya Namaskar right now?
Mani, I had 2 questions. One is,
Yes.
how do you define seniors? You said that seniors shouldn't do that. And my second question is that why do people say that you need to hold your core? I mean, you hold your stomach.
Okay. So I'll answer your second question first, which is how do you hold your core? So when I showed you the plank pose, or when I showed you the Ashtanga Namanasana, so the plank or the Kumbhak pose, this is where you're holding your core, which means if I don't pull my tummy in and tighten up my core muscles, which are my core abdominal muscles, here in this lower abdomen, sides, back area, this whole core, if I don't tighten, then this is going to happen. Then I just go like this. Then it's actually painful and bad for your back. So that's why you need to hold your core. Same thing when you are in Ashtang Namanasana also, you need to hold your core. Same thing when you do Bhujangasana too, and same thing when you are in your Adho Mokshanasana, you are holding your core, which means you're keeping it slightly tightened, not letting it flop. Okay, so that's holding your core. That will help protect your back as you hold your core. So all the weight is not coming just on your back and your vertebrae and your discs taking all the pressure. It's coming all around. Okay, so that's your first question. Second, what is meant by seniors? Now, that can be a pretty philosophical questions. I just talked about the telomeres. So depending on how young your telomeres are, even an 80-year-old person can be really young and can do Surya Namaskar. But what I meant here is that if you are, say, above 70, above 75, and you have not been doing Surya Namaskar or have not been doing anything rigorous, then it's better not to expose yourself suddenly to an intense practice like Surya Namaskar, and take it slow and build it from here. B.K. Sayangarji was 96 and he was doing his Surya Namaskars, no problem at all. So, any other questions?
Thanks, Mani.
Okay, so now we'll move on to a few other practices. I want to show on the chair by Marjorie and Vittilasan. So if you're sitting working at your desks and you're sitting on your desk all the time, to protect or spare your back, this is what you can do. We all know Marjorie and Vittilasan like this. So it's done like this normally. What you do is you inhale, you take your head up, you exhale, you bring your head down, and you arch your back up as much as you can. This keeps our back nice and flexible, and it helps keep our back relaxed as well. Now, if you're sitting on the chair, it will take you 1 minute maybe between meetings, or even if there's a Zoom call going on, you can sit and do this. So you're sitting at your chair, same thing, come slightly to the front of your chair so that your feet should be completely down, flat on the floor. And here you can do the same thing. You take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, you push your head down and you push your back behind as much as you can. Pull your shoulders forward. And then you inhale, push your chest forward, take your head back, arch your back. As you hold, keep breathing. So this is a simple practice that can be done sitting at your desk, Marjorie and Vittilasan. I will also like to show sitting at your desk, you can do Parvatasana. Now Parvatasana is extremely simple but extremely powerful because it prevents your entire back and it helps strengthen your shoulders, your neck muscles, cervical muscles, back muscles. So Parvatasana is very simple. I'm showing you sitting down, but you can do it sitting on your chair. So you start with raising your arms to shoulder level here. Take your palms up and just bring your palms together. You can also interlock your fingers. That's also fine. Going like this is also okay. Separating. If you have a lot of neck pain, then you cannot keep it up. Keep your arms separate. It's okay. Like this. And just hold. Let us do it all together. We'll just count for 60 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. Release your arms, palms down, and arms down. I'm sure you can all feel it in your shoulders. It took only 1 minute to do. So if multiple times in a day or even once in a day while working, if you can do so, it's a great preventative for your shoulders. Otherwise, we start off working on our desks like this. We're sitting with our screens like this, and slowly we are going like this. And by the end of the day, we are like this because our muscles are not strong enough to hold our heads up for that long. So we need to strengthen up those muscles. Now, I would like to just go through some eye exercises. For that, I'm going to take just 3 practices today. One of them is a very simple practice called palming, and it works wonderfully for relaxing our eyes. And that is simply rubbing your palms. So what I do is I rub for 10 seconds, then I place my hands over my eyes for 10 seconds, and then I keep my hands down for 10 seconds. Now, precautions here are, you should not be pushing. So if this is your eye, you're not pushing against your eye with your hand at all. It's only cupping around the eyes. It should not be touching your eye at all. So it's just around the eye. Okay, so your eyeball is very gentle. You can't push on it at all. So what I'm going to do is, we'll all do this together. I'll give the counts. Let's count for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then around the eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Palms down. Keep your eyes closed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slowly open the eyes. So this also can be repeated maybe 3 times, maybe 5 times in between your sessions, your meetings. It will really help relax the eyes. Another great practice for the eyes is blinking. That will stimulate the blinking reflex of our eyes. So you just have to blink quickly and then close your eyes. So let's do it 10 times. We'll blink 10 times like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep your eyes closed and just breathe. Slowly open the eyes. And now the next eye exercise that I will share is, personally, I have tried it, and all of these eye exercises have been researched and proven to decrease eye fatigue. There was also a research study that showed the same set of eye exercises reduce the intraocular pressure. So for people who have glaucoma, who have increased pressure in their eyes, it worked for those to reduce the pressure. There was also a very recent research study published in Yoga Mimamsa this month itself, which has shown the immediate effects of doing eye yoga and the effect of that on the eyes right after doing also. So the others were doing it for 2 months and then seeing the effects. This study is doing it and right after the yoga class, what happens. So all have shown tremendous benefits. So this one works wonderfully well for when you feel eye strain from working very closely, like say you're reading for a long time or you're looking at screen for a long time, and then things start to feel a little blurry. It works almost instantly for this thing. And the exercise is like this. What you do is, you have to take your arms at shoulder level, point the thumb up, you make like a thumbs up, and then you have to see from both sides without turning your head. You should be able to focus on your thumbs completely. So for some people it may happen here, wherever it's comfortable. Okay, so I'm going to come closer and then you can see my eyes, what happens with my eyes. So if I have my thumbs like this, what I'm going to do is, first I'll focus on my left thumb, then I'm going to focus at the place between my eyebrows, which is called Bhrumadhya Drishti, or it is called Shambhavi Mudra, looking here. Okay, and then I'm going to look at my left side. So let's try this together. Left, mid-brow, right, mid-brow, left, mid-brow, right, center, left, center, right, center. Let's go slower now. Left, hold, center, right, hold, center. You can blink at any time. Frequent blinking will help. Left, center, right, center, left, center, right, center, left, center, right, center, and left. Slowly close the eyes. Let's do palming one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Place around your eyes your warm palms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Slowly bring your hands down. Keep your eyes closed. Just take a breath in and out. Slowly open the eyes. And some other suggestions from me would be also to try and do slow breathing, like Ujjayi breathing. When you are, say, waiting for a Zoom call to start, or you are on a Zoom call and the light goes suddenly, and then instead of fretting and getting angry and cursing everybody, if we can take small, deep, slow, deep breaths in and out at that time, we are practicing our pranayam while we're carrying on with our day-to-day lives. So here I would like to open up. If anybody wants to ask any questions, please feel free to go ahead right now.
Hi, Mani. This is Megha.
Yes.
I have a
Yes, Megha.
yes. The last eye exercise that you mentioned. So, do you recommend that we wear our specs if we do it? If you are wearing specs, or do we take it out?
It's better if you take your specs off. But of course, there are some people who have very high level of myopia, and they will not be able to focus at all on their thumbs. If that is the case, then they should wear their specs. Otherwise, it's always better all eye exercises are done without your spectacles.
And I have one more question, Mani.
Yes, go ahead.
So if
yes, go ahead.
The reason I have not been able to continue with yoga, though I keep on learning it once in a while, is that, I think that it takes a lot of time. So if I have to spend just 15 to 20 minutes every day, I think it was very helpful to see the exercises that you showed. So if
you have only 15 minutes, Megha, spend 5 minutes on Surya Namaskar and spend 5 minutes doing Anulom Vilom Pranayam, and keep 5 minutes for anything that you have a specific need for. For example, if you have a back problem, then do Bhujangasana. If you have a knee problem, then do those specific asanas. But if you can just do 5 minutes of Surya Namaskar, is a lot. 5 minutes of Surya Namaskar, spend the 5 minutes on your Anulom Vilom Pranayam to calm yourself down, and that's good enough. And on weekends, try and do more.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else have any other questions?
Hi, Mani. This is about children. How do you get
Yes.
children sort of interested, and at what age is what kind of teaching appropriate?
Yes. Thanks, Maya, for the question. Very little children do not need any kind of formal instruction, maybe below the age of 8. They do not really require a formal instruction. That is what is recommended in the old texts as well. And that is what is followed also by the board that sets the curriculum for yoga in the schools all over the country. Now, what happens is that when children are young, they will just observe what's going on around them. So if you are doing yoga, they will get interested and they will start trying out poses by themselves. Now, children around the age of 8, 5, 6, they are extremely flexible. So you do not have to work on their flexibility at all. But what I see is, because I teach children who are from the age of 8, 9, 10, and I teach them all the way till they are 18. And children that are 8 years old, about 90% of the class can do halasan, can do any kind of backward bends, any kinds of chakrasan. They can do it all. But by the time they're in 11th and 12th standard, they have lost, more than 50% of people have lost their flexibility to do that. So it's very important just to be able to maintain that, to keep going, and just to keep practicing after the age of about 9, I would say, and continue on from there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Archana had a question. Please go ahead, Archana.
Yeah, hi Mani. My daughter is 8-year-old.
Yes.
She has got myopia actually. So
Yes.
so this exercise would be beneficial for her, like the eye exercises which you have shown just now.
The specific eye exercises that I've shown have been proven to reduce fatigue, to reduce the number that you have in myopia. It takes a lot many hours of exercising to change the number. Some research studies have shown some improvement in the eye, the number. Some studies have shown no improvement at all. So there are studies showing both things. However, I feel that in certain cases, if there is predominantly just muscle weakening that is causing the myopia, it surely does help. If there is more of a structural problem, then it will not help so much. So you should get it checked once again, see what the main problem is. If it is muscular, more likely that the change will happen, and it depends on how much time you spend. So you would have to spend like an hour doing eye exercises every day with your child.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I think we're out of time actually. So I would like to just end with sharing my screen again. And we will chant our 3 Oms and then do our Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So I would like to come to this. So let us just remember that I really like this quote and the saying, so I put it up. That pain and suffering in this world is inevitable. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And yoga is one of those tools that helps us make this suffering optional. So with that, I would like to close today's session. We'll bring our palms together and we will chant 3 Oms and then Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So palms together. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's open our eyes with a big smile and welcome this beautiful day. Thank you so much all for attending this lesson with me, and have a wonderful day and have a wonderful year of yoga.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mani. And
Thank
it was a
you.
great talk.
Thank you so much, doctor.
Yeah. For everybody, just want to share that this talk has been recorded and we are going to keep it on our YouTube channel, DLRC's YouTube channel. And DLRC's full form is Drive Change Learning and Resource Center. And we're also going to have it on our website. So feel free to kind of relook at it, check it out, and share it with others. And would like just to get some few responses right now, one or two responses on how the talk was, and just if you want to just share say something.
Thank you, Manisha. I saw your comment for the lovely session you said. Thank you for joining in.
Dr. Mani, it was a great session. And the important thing is that what not to do has been told in the session, which is very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you, Mani.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
And it really helped me understand why we like to remind ourselves scientifically and understand the importance of how yoga really helps. So I really like to understand the history and also understanding the scientific point of view of how and why exactly it is helping me, which kind of motivates me more to continue my yoga.
Thank you. Thank you, Kriti.
Hi, Mani.
Shobha, yes.
Yeah, most insightful session, Mani, as always. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing those very practical tips, while sitting and while, like you said, rightfully, while waiting for a Zoom. That was most insightful. And thanks for sharing the history. I've never really read up the history of yoga, so it was very insightful. It was beautifully articulated. The way you curated what you shared is wonderful. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you, Shobha. Thanks for that inspiration here. Thanks.
Thank you, Mani Didi. It was really insightful. I think a lot of details, like you minutely explained so much that most of the questions were taken care of. Thank you so much for that. It was so easy to understand.
Thank you, Nitya. That's
Mani,
wonderful. Thank you.
Mani, I really like the way that you explained the not to or the most common mistakes that does during Surya Namaskar. So I realized that I was doing a lot of them myself. And,
No, we all do. We all do. And in fact, yoga injury has become a very big thing now. Because हम लोग इतना नहीं करते हैं, but around the world people are going pretty crazy that हम अपने आप ही करते हैं 50 सूर्य नमस्कार करेंगे 100 सूर्य नमस्कार करेंगे, and if they're done wrong they will surely cause damage. So we have to be careful. Yes. Thank you Megha for attending and
Thank
for
you.
doing Surya Namaskars. Thank you, Dharushri.
बंद करते.
Yeah. Okay. So
great.
So we will end this
It was
session.
helpful.
Yes, Pawan, you can take it on from here.
Yeah. So I
You
was
know, the
saying
history
that
and
just yeah. Nikki, you want to say something?
yeah, I was just saying that it was helpful for the kids to know the history and the benefits of yoga, because whatever you generally ask them to do, it's like, why do why do you need to do it? Or we've already run around so much, or we've already exercised so much. So when it comes from the doctor's mouth itself, it's it's helpful for them to understand the importance. It reduces our work. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, and we've actually seen that firsthand upfront. Many of you who are here, part of the DLRC community, that Mani's been facilitating yoga since the last 4 years at DLRC, and I think it's been a great intervention in getting yoga as part of first our timetable and then our curriculum and now our life. So it's been a great opportunity to learn yoga every time Mani kind of shares her very practical tips on these things and really inspires. And I really like the agenda that she has with Surya Namaskars. I mean, and it was a great session today. And thanks everybody for attending it. And thanks for Dr. Mani for suggesting and offering this session. And looking forward to have you guys on later sessions, and looking forward to hear more about your yoga exploits. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes. I'm sharing my screen once again. If anybody wants to have my phone number or wants to just be able to ask me any questions, then feel free before you exit to do so. Here. So if there's any questions, any email you need to reach me via email or WhatsApp or text message, please feel free to do so. Of course, Pawan is also available if you need to reach Pawan.
Thank you, everybody. We're logging out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Pawan.
Thanks, Mani. Bye.
Thank you,
Have a good day.
DLRC. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Shilpa.